Jason Rzucidlo reporting inside the Uptown Palladium 12 Theater in Birmingham. Stay tuned for interviews with officials about the Michigan Film Tax Incentive and its future. So I've heard a lot of different figures about the incentive. Now, what is the minimum a project has to be in order to get the 42?
The minimum spend is $50,000.
Okay. They could still get the 42% with that?
Well, it's up to 42%, so it's, you know, in certain communities it's 40%, we have 136 core communities that it goes up to 42%, and then if folks are spending money, if they're bringing people in from out of state, it's 30%.
Do you think it's possible that it could be lowered to maybe 30 or 35%?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that. I mean, the governor's made his recommendation in terms of what he'd like to see for allocation, and so all the rest of those pieces will just kind of come out as.
Now, the other question I have is, have you noticed a lot of projects, you know, maybe setting up shop, you know, getting ready to start, and then all of a sudden they find out that, you know, they don't meet the requirement, and then they have to go back to California or whatever?
No, you know, we're finding that, I mean, we're pretty clear on what requirements productions need to make in order to film, or in order to receive the incentive. I mean, certainly anybody can come and film here, but in order to receive the incentive, so we haven't had too much of, you know, people not understanding the rules up front.
Now, as far as this year, how many projects have been completed here so far?
We've had, so far in 2011, we've had, I think, 5 projects wrapped so far in 2011.
But since we've had the incentive, about a couple hundred, you would say?
136. Yeah, 136 projects have wrapped since the incentive.
So where do we go from here, I guess? Are we still waiting for the governor?
We're working with the governor's office to figure out what kind of funding we've got yet for this year, and he put together a budget proposal and on how he'd like to see the spending for 2012 and 2013.
Yep.
So go ahead and tell me about what you've been doing at the University of Michigan. I understand you're working with students from Wayne State and Michigan State.
Yeah, well, I run the screenwriting program at the University of Michigan. I've been a professional screenwriter since 1989. And Emery King, the chairman of the Michigan Film Office Advisory Council, and I'm the vice chair. Emery came up with the idea of doing a joint project between Wayne State, Michigan State, and U of M. And so this is the historic collaboration, and students from all 3 schools came together to make a short film, roughly a half an hour, called Appleville, that'll premiere at the Detroit Institute of Arts on March 30th, and you should all come and see the red carpet premiere, and it'll be great.
That sounds very good. So what are you going to be doing here today at the Film Awards? You'll be a presenter?
No, I just came to watch some of these made in Michigan movies. Yep.
Now, your position on the tax incentive.
Oh, I'm all for keeping it. You know, it's quite a shock to everybody here that has been working and doing well, suddenly have their livelihoods taken away from them. $25 million cap will not work. It will not sustain this industry. The industry, the film, television, video game people have to come together. We've got to come up with a viable package that the legislature and the governor will agree to. Otherwise, it's game, set, and match over for Michigan.
Now, I've talked to some of the senators, representatives. They think maybe lowered to like 30 or 35%. You think that's a good idea? I
think there's definitely room for rolling back the percentage a little, as long, you know, and even substantially, as long as we're competitive with Louisiana, Georgia. The numbers you're saying, 35-30, that's the general ballpark.
So have you been seeing a lot of films here at this festival?
Yeah, I mean, let me just go back and say that I would like to see us keep our #1 position. That would be great, you know. We don't have to be 42-40, we can come back a little. But as long as we're #1, we can roll back the out of state. Right now it's 30. We can look at ways to, you know, phase that out now that our crew base is up. So we're just hoping that we can put together a package. All of us come together, put together a package that'll save this thing, keep Michigan competitive, and keep people working in Michigan.
In terms of your work, have you done work out in Los Angeles before? Talk about that.
That's where all my work is. I mean, my writing, and then, I filmed all over the country. I did Renaissance Man, which we shot some in Detroit, directed by Penny Marshall, starring Danny DeVito. I did D3, The Mighty Ducks, for the Mighty Ducks franchise for Disney. I did a movie called Ruffian for ABC and ESPN with Sam Shepard. Got a movie that we're ready to shoot this year. So, yep.
I was just going to say, what's next for you? So that's what's next then?
No, the next movie for me is a movie called AWOL that my writing partner in LA, Garrett Schiff, and I wrote. And, we're going to get it done this year.
So tell me, why are you here in Michigan right now?
I'm in Michigan because one of my films, Demoted, is premiering, and it's good to see my family.
Tell me a little bit about that film and what it's about.
It's essentially about two guys who get demoted to be secretaries, assistants, however you want to describe it, and the hell that they're put through. And they realize what it's like to really be that.
Now, with our incentive right now, it's at 42%. If it gets lower to 30 or 35, would you still be considering to film here?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a great cruise.
Now, I understand you also did the American Pie films. Tell me a little bit about those. Were they ever done here in Michigan?
No, they were all done in California, actually. And we just made it look like Michigan.
Yes.
And they worked out great. But, we'd have no problem if we're going to shoot another one, maybe, come back here.
Those are pretty entertaining. So what are some of the next projects that you might be working on?
Well, I have another film that I finished called High School. And I have another film that I'm working on that it's going to be an action comedy. And we'll see what happens.